Okay. Hey, welcome back on the Barking Guy Show. Welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. All right, so I looked it up. I did a DuckDuckGo search.
Okay.
And this is from a television station. I have no idea where this television station is. I hate this. They all say News 19, Eyewitness 6. Where the heck are you? Where is Eyewitness 6? There's got to be 15 eyewitness stations across the country because it's a branding thing that you can buy. It's a branding package you can buy. And, where are you? Where is this? What city? What market is this? I don't know. Anyway, we are no stranger to handling cold air in the Tennessee Valley. So this must be in Tennessee. It's the wind that can make it very uncomfortable to be outside. That brings to mind two words we hear a lot in the winter: wind chill and feels like. These two indices are used interchangeably by many, but they are not the same, Barking Guy. They're not the same. It should be noted that the formula for calculating wind chill has not always been the same, but it remains surprisingly complex. The formula for determining the wind chill: TWC equals 35.74 plus 0.61215T minus 35.75 VO.16 plus 0.4275T, where VO.16, where TWC is the wind chill in degrees, F, V is the wind speed in miles per hour, T is the temperature in degrees. Despite the complexity of the equation, wind chill is not always an exact or particularly accurate measurement. Many times, humidity, an important factor in the comfort level of a cold air mass, and other factors such as sunlight are not included in the calculation. The feels like temperature has been described as a slightly more accurate estimate of how it actually feels outside, considering wind, humidity, and other factors. This is sometimes referred to as the apparent temperature. The feels like method is based off an adult walking outdoors in the shade and accounts for humidity. So if you as an adult are walking outdoors in the shade, the wind, the temperature, and the humidity are all factored together to what it feels like to be walking outside in the shade. It is valid over a wide range of temperatures and includes wind chill at lower temperatures. The record for coldest wind chill in the world stands at 192 degrees below zero, which occurred in Antarctica in 2005. So if I boil it all down, tell me if this makes sense to you, Barking Guy. Wind chill is the temperature in the wind. Feels like is the temperature of the wind and the humidity.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That sounds about right?
Yep.
Okay. So there is a difference between the two, and some people think the feels like is a little more accurate because it incorporates the humidity and other factors. Okay. So maybe I should just shut up about that. Just give the feels like.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that okay? You grew up in the upper Midwest. Wind chill was a big deal where we grew up, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And the snow.
Yeah.
Do you remember the blizzard of 78?
I do remember the blizzard of 78. Yep. It's pretty bad. I think it was the blizzard of 78 that I tore all the molding off the side of the station wagon. We had a 1973 or 74 Dodge Polara Custom station wagon with a 400 cubic inch V8 engine underneath the hood. And it didn't have the third row seat. It had the front bench seat, it had the second bench seat, and then it had a big storage tub underneath the rear deck. And so it didn't have as much weight in the back as it did up in the front. And all vehicles at that time, American made especially, were the engine was in the front. There was a drive shaft that went to the rear differential, and the power went to the rear wheels. with all the weight in the front, you can just imagine, with that 400 cubic inch V8 engine up in the front there, and then the two passengers or whatever, all the weight was in the front, yet the power went to the rear wheels. And so you can imagine what would happen in that ginormous boat of a car if you got on a slippery road.
Yep.
You give it any kind of gas at all, and that rear end is just, swinging out, fishtailing out. We would throw cinder blocks. We would throw weight. We'd throw all kinds of stuff in the back of that station wagon to try to get weight over the rear wheels so that we'd get some kind of traction. And in Iowa, where I grew up, when they cleared the roads, they would pile them up in these ginormous piles of snow that would be there until May. That's how big these piles of snow were. And I would get crazy driving the car, and I'd hit the gas, and the rear end would spin out. And I remember once or twice spinning out, going through an intersection, and slamming the side of the vehicle into one of those big snow mounds. And, they had molding on the side of the car, and I tore the molding off the side of the car one time, driving like an idiot. What was your driving experience in the Midwest there? What kind of car did you have?
I think my first car was a Mercury Comet.
Oh, wow. A friend of mine had those. Loved them. The Ford was the Maverick, and the Mercury was the Comet. Those are great cars.
Yeah, I had a Maverick afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 4-door, 2-door?
I think the Comet that I had I think they were both 2-door.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. Those were neat cars.
The first car I had used to be my mother's. And then she got another car, and I got that one.
Uh-huh. How did it do in the snow?
It did okay. I don't remember anything like there's some fishtailing, but you had to slow down.
Oh, not when you're a 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid. No, I drove like an idiot sometimes.
We had driver's ed, and they talked about driving the snow, even though my driver's ed was in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But they talked about driving the snow, and they talked about driving in different weather conditions.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, we went through the same thing. We went through the classes and learned how to do that. Now, the first car that we got that had front-wheel drive, and this was right after one of the oil embargoes. You remember there were two of them in the 70s.
I remember that.
Remember that. Price of a gallon of gas before the first one was around 28, 30 cents a gallon.
Yes.
And then it went up to like 60 cents a gallon.
I remember that.
And you look at what we're paying now and you go, 60 cents, that's nothing. But you got to remember that was a doubling of the price of gas. It'd be like any other expense that you have. If it doubled, if it doubled in cost, would that have an impact on you? And of course it would, regardless of what it is. So, I mean, it doubles up. So everybody's dumping their big gas-guzzling American cars, and they're all buying, Subarus, Mazdas, Toyotas,
yes,
Datsuns. It's Nissan now, but it was Datsun in the States back then. And my parents bought a Mazda GLC.
Yep, I remember those.
Yeah, a little 2-door beer can. I mean, this had no weight to it at all. It was thin metal on the doors. It had little plastic seats. It had a 4-speed transmission. The radio was an option. It had, Barking Guy, in 1978 or whenever we bought this thing, it had a manual choke. This was basically a glorified lawnmower. So we'd go out, it'd be 30 degrees of temperature, 0 with the wind chill or something like that. And you'd pull the choke out and turn the key to get the thing to start and let it warm up. And then as it warmed up, you'd push the choke back in to get it, to smooth out and run. Then you could drive the car. But Barking Guy, that front-wheel drive car The engine, what little engine there was, was over the front wheels. That sucker went everywhere in the snow. I never got stuck in that car. That big old station wagon, I'd sling the back end around. I'd tear off the molding. We'd constantly spin the tires and get in trouble. With that little Mazda GLC, zoom, 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 zoom. We just, not zoom, zoom like the Miata zoom, zoom, but, pre-Miata zoom, zoom. We just zoom all over the place in that thing. If there was snow on the ground, didn't care. Water on the ground, didn't care. That sucker just went everywhere. And unlike the big station wagon, which I think got 8 miles to the gallon, that sucker got 24, 25 miles to the gallon. So it was huge. But that was our first foreign-made Econobox that our family bought. Was a Mazda GLC. So that's what we drove there. That's what I drove when I was through the end of my high school years and into the early years. Lana's parents, they started getting Subarus. So growing up when she was in high school, they had little Subarus. Ugliest cars. I mean, they were ugly. Oh my gosh. They were terrible looking little Japanese Econoboxes. The spare tire sat on top of the engine under the hood. They had such a small engine in them that's where they put the spare tire. Was on top of the engine, barking guy. That's how tiny these little engines were in these little cars. But those suckers would go everywhere. I mean, and they hardly ever broke down compared to some of the American models at the time. And so that's so we went through that. I'm old enough that we went through those. Do you remember what your first? Have you ever owned a foreign-made automobile or an Econobox like that, or have you stuck true to the American, to Ford?
I drove mostly Fords, but there was a couple times I had a foreign vehicle. I think I bought a Toyota truck from somebody after my. There was one vehicle I had over 100,000 miles in it, and it was done. Mm-hmm. So I bought this friend's truck. It was a small Toyota truck.
Yeah.
And then in Germany, I bought. I think I had a Mazda or something.
Okay. Was it one of the rotaries?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I had some foreign. I had a Japanese.
In Germany?
In Germany.
That's interesting. Because I bet there were a lot of Volkswagens and BMWs and Porsches and stuff like that.
The Germans own those, but as far as the Americans, they had American cars, they had Japanese cars. And I bought that car from somebody who got another car or he was leaving.
Yeah. Well, that was probably a good deal then, to do something like that.
Yeah.
Well, growing up, my parents had, they were big into Dodges. The first new car my parents bought was a Dodge. The station wagon I mentioned was a Dodge. Then they bought the Mazda. Lana's dad was big Plymouth Chrysler guy. Lana remembers learning to drive in a big old Plymouth Fury. Ginormous car, 8-mile-long hood, turn signals out on the fenders. But I've had Fords, I've had Chevys, I've had Chrysler products over the years. I like them all. I like the American brands, but the foreign ones are pretty good too. And here's the other thing, barking guy, is Japanese cars are made in America. American cars are made in Canada and Mexico. So it's an international thing now. It's Mercedes and some of the Volkswagen, they make them here in America. So It's really it's a worldwide thing now where cars are manufactured. I mean, American cars are made in America, but they're also made in Canada and Mexico, and Japanese cars are made in Japan, but they're also made in Europe and in America. And then there's the Chinese manufacturing, which is starting to build up. And I mean, Tesla's making Teslas in China to sell to the Chinese market. GM has a big partnership with some manufacturing in China because they want to make the cars in the market that they're selling them into. And so yeah, you see, it's an international thing now. It's not like it used to be. You got to look at the VIN number, see where it's actually manufactured, and see where it's at. But it's not like it was back in the back in the day. You know, Japanese cars were made in Japan, and all that. There's a lot of automobiles that are manufactured down in Mexico.
Yeah.
Come back up here. Canadians do a really good job of making cars and trucks, and so there's a lot of manufacturers that you buy that, it's made in Canada and shipped back into the United States. So it's a worldwide thing. You have a big Ford truck now.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and you like that truck, don't you?
I love it.
Yeah, you got it before all the craziness with the chip shortage and everything.
Yeah, I got that one in 2019.
Yeah, right before all of this.
And the truck I had before, I drove it for 275,000 miles.
Wow.
And that was another Ford F-250.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's doing pretty good. I've got the one I have, I've got 115,000 miles on it. And it still runs. Still gets us around town. So I'm a big fan of cars. I like cars and different manufacturers and technologies. I'm intrigued by all of that. So, what do you think of your Kith and Kin scone today? How's the scone?
I love it.
This coffee is really good. I'm not sure what blend it is, but it smells great. I'm a big fan of the coffee there at Kith and Kin, and this muffin that they brought. This is for 4, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, this muffin would serve 4. That's how big this muffin is. It is huge, and it's an example of the muffins and the scones and the other pastries. Lana took the cinnamon twist knot thing, so she's got that. But thanks to Kith and Kin for having coffee and scones and bakery items for us and our guests, and we appreciate them.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Did you ever try your Let's Go Brandon blend?
No, but I need to.
Yeah,
I need to.
We need to do the same thing. We need to crack open the box and brew up some Let's Go Brandon blend and get ready to enjoy that, because it's almost political season, Barkin' Guy.
Well, it is with the city, and
yep.
And then before you know it, it'll be primary season.
Yep.
June 7th is primary.
Right.
And then in November we have the general election.
And it's on the 8th, isn't it? 8th or 7th? Because correct me if I'm wrong, Barking Guy, if the election, Lana says our Subarus were not ugly, they were cute. No, they were ugly. They were cute in an ugly kind of way. I think that on the federal level, Barking Guy, if the first Tuesday of November is the 1st,
it goes to the 8th.
It goes to the next Tuesday. And in this case, let me pull it up here. November 1st is the first Tuesday.
So it would be the 8th.
So it'll be the 8th. So November 8th will be the general election this year. And there's a lot of stuff going on. All right, let's see what Jared's got for you. And then we'll be back with Eric's sports report and one more Dallas Cowboys report. Aw. Tear in the eye. Cowboys didn't go very far this year. Sad.
Yeah,
so
it's sad.
We'll hear from Christy next.
Now your pickle